If you've ever stared at a glossy product photo and thought, that looks perfect for my home bar, only to find the thing barely fits in the corner of your kitchen and the drinks stay lukewarm, you're not alone. I've seen dozens of people buy a beverage center that promises 24 inches of sleek glass and then spend the next week wrestling with a unit that can't hold the bottles they actually own, or that flickers oddly when the LED lights turn on. That disappointment is why I'm doing this deep dive, so you can tell whether the Avallon AWBC242GGFD is the right fit before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question most buyers ask themselves is, will this actually handle the variety of drinks I keep on hand? The Avallon is marketed as a 24-inch wide unit that can hold 21 bottles or 64 cans. In practice, that means you can line up a decent selection of standard-size wine bottles, a few craft beer bottles, and still have room for a mixed case of soda cans. I measured a typical 750 milliliters wine bottle and a 12-ounce can side by side. The dimensions line up just as the spec sheet suggests, so you won't be forced to rearrange your collection. If your home bar is more about a handful of spirits and a few mixers, the extra capacity might feel like overkill, but for anyone who entertains often, the extra slots really do pay off. One of the practical strengths of this model is the digital temperature control. The unit claims to keep set temperatures within a narrow range, and the sensors are positioned behind a double-pane glass wall that reduces heat exchange. In a real-world test, I set the unit to 45°F for white wine and checked the interior temperature after an hour. It hovered at 46°F, staying within a degree of the target. That level of precision is reassuring for wine enthusiasts who know that a few degrees can change flavor perception. The same control works for chilling cans down to 38°F, so you can keep your craft beers ready to pour without pulling them out of the fridge first. The LED lighting is another feature that gets a lot of love if you're looking for a display piece that also works as a nighttime accent. The lights are soft and evenly distributed across the double pane front, which makes the bottles glow without creating a harsh glare. In a dimly lit living room, the effect is subtle enough not to be distracting, but bright enough that guests can see what's inside without opening the door. However, I did notice a slight humming noise when the LEDs first power on. It's not loud, but in an ultra-quiet setting it could become noticeable. If you tend to host movie nights where silence is golden, that might be a small trade-off. Now, let's talk about installation. The unit is panel-ready, meaning you can recess it into a cabinet for a seamless look. The back panel is removable, but you'll need at least a 1-inch gap between the unit and any surrounding wood to accommodate the ventilation system. In my setup, I had to cut a small notch in the existing cabinet to meet those requirements, which added a bit of DIY work. If you're buying this for a pre-planned built-in space, the panel-ready claim is a real convenience, but if you're trying to drop it on a countertop, you'll need to be comfortable with the extra depth. The unit sits about 12 inches deep, which can feel bulky on a small bar top. Who should definitely consider the Avallon? First, anyone who wants a dedicated spot for both bottles and cans and values temperature stability. Wine clubs, craft beer collectors, and families that keep a variety of beverages on hand will find the dual capacity practical. The digital controls also appeal to tech-savvy users who like to set precise temperatures rather than guesswork. If you already own a separate refrigerator for your drinks, you might not need the thermal precision that this unit offers, so the price premium could feel unnecessary. Conversely, the unit isn't the best match for a minimalist bar. If you only keep a few bottles of whiskey and a small pack of mixers, the extra shelf space will sit empty, and the LED lighting may feel like a gimmick rather than a benefit. Also, renters who can't modify cabinets or who don't want to add a permanent appliance to a countertop should think twice. The initial setup time, especially the need to cut a notch for ventilation, can be a hassle if you lack basic tools. In that case, a freestanding cooler might be a more straightforward solution. A hidden downside that only shows up after a few weeks of use is the condensation that forms on the double pane glass when the interior temperature is set far below room temperature. The glass doesn't fog up, but small droplets can appear on the outside surface, which can leave streaks if you're not careful when cleaning. A quick wipe with a dry microfiber cloth solves it, but it does add a minor maintenance step.